Back again and finally concluding my Resident Evil review. Well, franchise review. The reason I wasn't here earlier is because I was too busy teaching someone something. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, I got done reviewing the movies in The Dark Side and Umbrella Chronicles. Now, which one's next? Ah, yes, Resident Evil 5 and 6. Now, what can I say about Resident Evil 5? Nothing much. I mean, it's not a bad game. I mean, it's got a few people complain about it having a little too much action for a Resident Evil game and being a tad bit racist because you kill Africans in it. Now, it's not racist if they've been turned into zombies and you're fighting in self-defense. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Chris Redfield is the character you play, along with some African chick who I can't remember the name of. Now, I think they're supposed to take down Albert Wesker. Well, that's my guess, considering between Resident Evil 4 and 5. I mean, I hear about him in 4, and then in 5 he's just translated into a memory. Let me think. There's a big jeep chase, you run around, blast zombies. Pretty much the standard Resident Evil 4 gameplay. So nothing much has changed between the two games, except for the characters and the situation. So considering it's close to being Resident Evil 4, and this is actually where I kind of see Chris getting a little bit of redemption, considering he used to be a good hero, but Resident Evil 6 is what made me brand him as a douche, but well, we'll see. So pretty much this game is just like Resident Evil 4, only not as funny. So, that's the case. I'll give it about 4 stars, because it's actually well, it redeems Chris for me. That's all I'm going to say. Now for the last game, Resident Evil 6. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate mail for this, but I freaking love this game. What do people not like about it? I mean, a lot of people complain about certain things about the game, usually the camera angles, and I can understand the problem, and, well, we can't make it like Resident Evil 2 where the camera's stationary in each hallway. That changed after Resident Evil 3. So what I know in this game is that it is one lone plot, so you don't have to choose you can choose campaigns, but you don't have to go from different stories, or you're not playing as a lone character, so you get more variety. Your campaigns consist of Leon and Helena Harper, a partner of his, Chris Redfield, and a man who keeps him cool, named Pierce. You also get this new guy named Jake Mueller. I know that people say he's a fan service character, but I actually find him kind of enjoyable. And guess who he gets to team up with? Sherry. I know, it's been since like the Dark Side Chronicles and or Resident Evil 2 since you've seen her. And she was just a little kid back then who I felt really sorry for. Now she's just passing her teenage years, she's an agent, and she's almost impossible to kill. That's what I like. I mean, you got a freaking invincible character at your side, though she doesn't really help, but Jake is kind of a stuck-up little smartass. But, hey, he and I share a name. That's all I'm gonna say. So, what else can I say about the camp? Oh yeah, you also get Ada's campaign. Now, that was totally unexpected. Now, there's one very, very confusing plot point in this story. A little spoiler alert. Leon and Helena come across a tape in a hidden cab labeled Happy Birthday Ada Wong, and I actually was hoping that it would show Ada when she was, well, not a bitch. And then I get the complete opposite of what I was hoping for. You get this cocoon shell, and it breaks open, and This game is chock-a-block full of fan service, and this is no exception. You see, what I can only guess is Ada pop out of the cocoon, and I was like, of course, a spy as conniving and good at her job as her, it could never have been created naturally. But then Chris comes across Ada. She's in indigo attire, and she's a little different. Now, in this attire, in this story, she usually wears a red. So, that kind of gives you a clue that's her. I mean, there was no indication that other than as soon as Leon said her name, or when she said her name, in Damnation, that it was her. So, for a couple of minutes, you had to guess who this character was from the games. So, anyway, Chris comes across her, Jake and Sherry come across her, and she's pretty much doing evil deeds in this game, and I'm like, when did Ada suddenly become the antagonist? Now, don't get me wrong, she's an anti-heroine to say the least, and she was a bit of a bitch since like the second game. So, yeah. And then, when you get to Ada's campaign after playing Chris's, where he freaking kills Ada. Wow, I was pretty pissed at that moment. But I played Chris's first, Leon's second, and then Jake's, and then Ada's last. Because Leon and Harper come across Ada at the very end of the game. And Ada actually leaves a message for Leon that kind of seals the deal that they've got chemistry going. Very unbelievable chemistry, considering Leon jumps to Ada's aid in part of the final battle. But the person who was really killing Chris's men and doing evil deeds was Ada's doppelganger. A girl named Carla, created by the main antagonist of the story, Derek Simmons, who used to be Ada's partner and could have been her boyfriend if he didn't go nuts. Then he wanted to create a new version of Ada. Then the whole thing goes up from there, and Ada's got a couple snappy comebacks against him. This is when I start to like the character. Leon's likable. Chris is kind of a jerk in this game, though he lost his men, and plus he's gone through a lot of pain. So I can understand. Leon's kind of lost the pretty boy aspect of him and became more manly. Harper's likable because she lost her sister to Simmons. Sherry's likable even though you barely know her. Jake is even likable even though he's a new character. Pierce is also likable, but I never really know much about him. Even the villain is pretty likable. I mean, he's not the greatest villain ever. But he's the kind of person who notices that his his experiments go a little out of hand. When his Ada Wong doppelganger goes against him, but Chris kills her, and then when Ada walks up to her and she starts turning into a puddle of undescribable liquid that I'm not even going to compare to anything. I'm like, okay, that's not Ada Wong. So, apparently she gives this over-the-top speech that pretty much you can recite word for word. And then Ada frosts her and blows her to pieces. I really like that part of the game. This guy named Brad on YouTube actually played this game. Labeled Leon as his favorite, Jake says his second, and Chris and Ada had a tie on the better campaigns. Now, I'll admit, the camera angles in this game can be a bit of a bitch, and I understand that most people are usually adapted to the survival horror aspect of the Resident Evil franchise, but guys, action games are in nowadays. Survival horror died out after the 90s. Games like Slender, the original kind of Resident Evil that's not quite as actiony, and even the Silent Hill games have lost popularity because people are just converting to action games nowadays instead of survival horror games. So it's kind of trying to adapt to the popular culture, which is kind of usually a bad thing, but I've got no problem with this game. I mean, in Leon's campaign, you go through a freaking minecart chase that reminds me of Temple of Doom. Oh my god. Resident Evil meets Temple of Doom. That would be a freaking awesome movie if they can make Harrison Ford a little bit younger. Maybe it would probably get better reviews than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Why do people hate that movie? Why do people hate Temple of Doom? I don't know. I don't care. I'm not talking about Indiana Jones. So, the action is fantastic and creative in this game, and I understand that it's not exactly a survival horror game like you're used to, but come on. This is what people like nowadays. It got mixed reviews, and I personally freaking love this game. This has got to be one of my favorites out of the franchise. So, if I were going to label these games as my favorites, I would put either 2 or 6 as number 1, Resident Evil 2 as my second favorite, and all the others lacking behind. I don't care. The even-numbered games are my favorites. I'm going to say that. Now, though, unfortunately, what I like about the game isn't shared among people. A lot of people complain about the awkward camera angles, some of the problems with the camera, the fact that it's an action game instead of a survival horror, but come on, people liked Resident Evil 5 because of that. Now, I'll understand that it's not a survival horror game as much as it used to be, and the camera angles can be a bit of a problem. I swear, on Ada's campaign, Capcom just became a bunch of perverts. Not complaining, just saying. Anyway, must become serious again. So, unfortunately, this game got mixed reviews. Others didn't like it, some did, but what I'm worried about is that this may my god, why am I stuttering? This may become the end of the Resident Evil franchise. Because people may think that this is the definite bomb that's going to cause Resident Evil to go up in smoke. It's going to make it crash and burn, and it's going to fail. I'm praying that that's not true, because I've really enjoyed this game, the series, the franchise. I mean, this game, why did I not get introduced to why did I not get introduced to it when I was younger? I wouldn't have loved it. Maybe it's because it was too gory for me as a kid, but I wouldn't know. I was a kid who could watch sci-fi original movies at age 6. But, unfortunately, I guess Resident Evil may be done for. Sure, you got great ones like Damnation 4, 5, and 2, but then you also got the ones that didn't get as good reviews like 6 and 3. Then you got the ones that were definite bombs, like Operation Raccoon City. And Resident Evil 1 kickstarted the franchise, made it popular, so I guess it was a success. And then you also got the definite bombs that were the movies. Oh well. If it took them this long to actually get a bomb out of a game, well, farewell Resident Evil. It's been nice knowing you. But the games, let me give them my rating. 5 would be, I already gave 5. But 6, I'm definitely giving 4 3/4 stars out of 5. Just because the last quarter is just because of the camera angles and the fact that it's not a survival horror game. But say what you will, I still love that game. I love the franchise, and it's going to be tough to sit through seeing it go away. It'll drift into the gaming abyss along with many others. Farewell, Resident Evil. We're going to miss you.